welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010, so you don't have to, in the often very desperate hunt for points. And it's round 5 of the 2014 season, driving the Caterham CT05, and we start the European leg at the traditional starting point, really, for the European F1 season, Barcelona, Catalonia. And it's not been the most fun so far this season. We have had 4 races. We've qualified 22nd in every race. We have finished 17th twice, 18th once, and last time out we finished in 16th, which is our best result of the season by virtue of just staying on a worn set of wet tyres in China. It's been quite the slog, and I feel like the rest of 2014 is going to be that way. But as you can see, we're at least beating our teammate Kamui Kobayashi, which leads me nicely and very quickly onto the standings. We're 19th, ahead of Chilton, Bianchi and Kobayashi. And everybody you see on that page there, Kvyat, Verne, Maldonado, Sutil, Grosjean and Gutierrez, all no points. And the only drivers yet to score points. The top 12 have all scored. And at the top of those 12, Lewis Hamilton leads the way, ahead of Nico Rosberg, who finally broke his teammate's win streak in China. Ricciardo's in 3rd. Vettel catapulted his way up to 4th and is closing on his new teammate. Alonso's in 5th, ahead of Magnus and Hulkenberg, much like he did in Sauber in 2013. He's scoring consistently and performing really well in the Force India in 2014. Bottas is 8th, ahead of his fellow countryman Kimi Raikkonen. Jenson Button is in 10th, and then the remaining 2 point scorers, Perez in 11th and Massa in 12th. While in the constructors, Mercedes are running away with it, as you'd expect. 70 odd points clear of Red Bull. My math's not that quick. Ferrari are in 3rd, 43 behind Red Bull, and just 8 ahead of McLaren, who are then just 12 ahead of Force India, who are 10 ahead of Williams, and then Toro Rosso, Lotus, Sauber, ourselves in P10 ahead of Marussia, yet to score. I don't foresee that changing massively here in Spain, one of the 2 circuits we've been disqualified at in this series. One of only 3 circuits we've failed to finish at, the other being Hungary, where we've DNF'd twice. Long straight, sweeping corners, fiddly little horrible Mickey Mouse chicane still at the end of the lap. Slow car, and little to no hope, realistically, of that changing here. The European season, though, does lead into some of the races that might do us some favours. Canada, obviously not in Europe, but in the middle of the European season, as it always is. My favourite circuit, we might be okay. Monaco could always produce carnage. Hockenheim has done us well so far. And then you've got Belgium and Monza, which were surprise decent results. Or at least Monza was surprise decent races last season, before we then head off to the likes of Singapore. We've also got the return to Austria. We've got Russia to come as well. So we might find ourselves having some decent races to come, but 16th is really the high bar to clear, which is really saying something for this season. With that in mind, I guess it's probably best we go and see just how far off the pace we really are. So let's go do some practice around the circuit of Catalonia, and while we do, we'll talk about the real world 2014 Spanish Grand Prix. The European leg of the season began at its traditional circuit, the circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia, with teams arriving with 8 miles of testing data for their 2014 cars after pre-season took place at Bahrain and Jerez. There were, however, a raft of technical changes for many of the cars, as was usual for Spain, most opting for aero changes. The first practice session saw issues for Guido van der Garde, the Sauber reserve driver, suffering a brake failure into turn 1 and narrowly avoiding the barrier, while the Red Bull of Sebastian Vettel also had issues with his car stopping on track. Mercedes were, of course, at the top of the times, Hamilton leading Button and Ricciardo at session's end. Vettel's woes continued into practice too, His issues from the opening session leaving him watching proceedings, while Mercedes took another top spot. Hamilton once again leading the way, half a second clear of Rosberg, while Ricciardo was a full second behind the lead Mercedes. The Mercedes dominance would continue into the final practice session, though it would be Rosberg this time at the top, nearly a second clear of Hamilton and over a second clear of Alonso, though Rosberg's time would still be slower than Hamilton's from the previous day. Much like the top of the order in practice, the back few rows in qualifying are occupied by the usual suspects, Maldonado bringing out the red flag for a crash early in the session and dropping out alongside Caterham, Marussia and Adrian Sutil Sauber. Q2 saw two drivers not take to the track, Jean-Eric Vergne, nearly had a 10-place grid penalty hanging over, with McLaren also finding an issue with Kevin Magnussen's energy recovery system and not sending him out on track for safety. They would be joined by both Force India's Daniel Kvyat and Esteban Gutierrez in the elimination zone. As soon as the green light was shown for Q3, the red light was immediately flashed as Vettel's Red Bull stopped through turn 3, after he was unable to select second gear when leaving the pits, forcing Hamilton into evasive action. That wouldn't really matter though, it'd be the same story at the top, Mercedes locking at the front row with Hamilton leading Rosberg, while Daniel Ricciardo would take third place ahead of Bottas. The star of qualifying was Romain Grosjean in the Lotus, showing how much they'd improved, as he qualified 5th ahead of Raikkonen, Alonso, Button, Massa and the stricken Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton would make a strong getaway, clearing off on the run into turn 1, while Rosberg made a poor start, losing ground and giving Bottas a glimmer of hope into the opening corner. It would have been Ricciardo, but the Australian would get an equally poor start, falling behind the Williams and almost behind the Lotus of Grosjean. Most of the field managed the opening lap without incident, until the tail end of that opening lap. Maldonado attempting a dive at the inside of Ericsson, the Lotus making contact with the Caterham, and gaining a stop-and-go penalty and points on his licence.
Your tyres are at a good temperature.
Mercedes scarpered at the front of the field, so much so they were once again comfortable to race each other. Hamilton as the lead driver would pit first, while Rosberg would pit a few laps later, attempting to offset his strategy so he could challenge near the end of the race. It was for the most part a standard, fairly processional Spanish Grand Prix, the nature of the circuit delivering that processional type race, until the converging strategies ignited some intense on-track battles. Rosberg began to hone in on Hamilton, while Vettel would begin cutting the way through the field after his qualifying issues. Despite the tyre offset, Hamilton would hold off Rosberg to the end, crossing the line just half a second clear. It'd be Ricciardo taking third place, some 50 seconds behind the Silver Arrows, while Vettel, Bottas and Alonso would be the only other cars on the lead lap, while the points were finished off by Raikkonen, Grosjean, Perez and Nico Hülkenberg.
We've lost position, we're now in 4th.
Here at Barcelona, can we finally get ourselves off the last spot on the grid? Highly unlikely, all told. This is a power circuit with lots of sweeping corners, something this car is absolutely unable to handle. We've really got to go and give it everything here, and much like the opening 4 rounds, we can only really aim for 21st place, with the faint hope that we can somehow defy the odds, or somebody somewhere has some problems.
It won't be easy getting out of this qualifying session, but see what you can do.
The now traditional message from engineer Andy there as we sit in the garage pre-Q1 in Spain. Practice were way off the pace. I'm just not very good during this circuit, not very quick. And the fact that this car also isn't very quick really compounds our misery. So we might be on for another 22nd spot. It'd be 5 out of 5 if we do finish last. There's possibly rain during qualifying, but not in Q1 by the looks of it. So at least we're not going to be hampered by wet weather. So we better get out there, see if we can get somewhere close to, well, anyone. Let's take a look then at our fastest lap in qualifying. You heard it, off the pace in all 3 sectors, already last, quite some distance away from everybody in front of us. But we give it everything into turn 1. The car trying to rotate through the rear and kind of cut turn 2 a touch, using the camber of the curb to throw the car round. Holding our nerve through turn 3. The front just doesn't want to seem to settle in this car, but we then gun it up the hill. We're only marginally up on our best time, but still some way off Adisswanto ahead. Down the hill now to turn 5, get on the brakes nice and early, and get it turned in really nicely. Car complying there, unlike it has been through most of the session so far. Into this really fiddly chicane in the middle of the lap, I could probably carry more speed, but again the front doesn't want to turn in. As we head up to turn 9 and back at the hill again, we have to really back it off to actually get the car to settle over the crest of the hill. As we head down towards turn 10, you'll see, way off, but up on our own time. Tight into turn 10, probably our best exit from there, which really shows you how terribly our qualifying's gone. We bounce across the curve at 11 and through turn 12, always on the power, just waiting for the traction to come. Back down the hill again into the Mickey Mouse chicane, as I call it, at the tail end of the lap. Looking forward to when that's gone in a few seasons' time. Getting all out of shape, but we managed to save the car, get it around the final corner, and gun it for the line. And it's still 22nd.
A disappointing day for us today. That's 22nd on the grid.
And for the 5th race running, it is a 22nd and last, eliminated in Q1 and out-qualified by Kamui Kobayashi once again by 1.2 seconds. Middle sector, for the 3rd race running where I've noticed it, middle sector. Just, I lose so much time. But we're not in too bad company there. Grosjean knocked out, Bianchi out, Kevin Magnussen and McLaren knocked out. Max Chilton there in 20th, Kobayashi 21st, and we will start last once again. It's a long run down to turn 1, at least. I guess that's a small, tiny crumb of comfort, but it's going to be a tough race at a circuit that I'm not very quick at anyway, in a car that's not very quick. So I think this could be one of the more frustration-inducing races, shall we say. But let's cross to the race and see how we do in Barcelona. Pre-race then in Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix. 22nd place for the 5th race in a row. I think I said during 2012 that at least after that we would never hit a low point as low as 24th. This feels somehow worse than starting 24th in the HRT, just consistently off the pace of everyone, let alone the other Caterham, the Marussias, everyone. So it's another chasing an experience where we have to start at the back and try and fight our way forward. But let's take a look at the grid before we talk about what we're hoping for here. It's Nico Rosberg on pole this time around, ahead of Lewis Hamilton, with Vettel in 3rd, Massa and Bottas 4th, 5th. The Williams up there ahead of Raikkonen and Alonso. Perez is 8th, ahead of Raikkonen and Ricciardo in 9th, and the Red Bull, and Jensen Button in 10th. Hulkenberg is 11th with Jean-Eric Vergne, Adrian Sutil, Daniel Kvyat and Pastor Maldonado rounding out the top 15. And then it's Gutierrez, Grosjean, Bianchi, Magnussen in the McLaren down in 19th, ahead of Chilton, Kobayashi and ourselves. And that's how we start in Barcelona. And I said before, this is one of 3 circuits we failed to finish at in this series. One of 2 circuits we were disqualified at back in 2010 here in Korea. Spain has not treated us well whatsoever. And this car is incredibly slow at a circuit I'm not very good at. Our objective is going to be super low here I don't even think beating Caterham and the other Caterham of Kamui Kobayashi and the Marushas is doable. Because I don't think we can out-strategize them. The only way I'm going to be able to stay with them is by sticking to a similar sort of strategy. So I can't even go for the alternate tyre strat. We've had retirements in every round so far this season. Not many, but some. I'm going to go, let's say, an objective of 20th, which you'd think will mean that we either beat both Marushas or Kobayashi and one of the Marushas. Maybe if we're lucky, a Sabre, if they have a bad start. Any retirements will grant us free spots. But it is probably one of the lowest bars we've ever had, race objective-wise, and I feel like that's kind of going to be this season in a nutshell. After 4 rounds of pretty abject disappointment, this car is going to be, at the moment at least, exiting its final season with a bit of a whimper. I'm just prolonging the build-up, essentially, to avoid the pain of actually doing this race. It is time for pain with the S. Let's cross to the grid for the 2014 Spanish Grand Prix. All Mercedes front row, Sebastian Vettel in behind them, then a Williams. There's Kobayashi. Just about to see us next to him. Bad day for Caterham. No pep talk from Andy, because I think he knows it's kind of pointless, as we get the 5 red lights and away we go. In Spain we try not to get too much in the way of wheel spin, and we're staying kind of with the pack at the moment, but we start to pull away. Izzy Kobayashi struggling to find himself space between Magnussen and the Marushas, and we get hard on the brakes there. And we did tap Magnussen, and we not gained any spots off the first couple of corners, but we might now. Kobayashi running wide. We're going to stick to the inside, see if we can dive through a gap. There was one, and we found it, and then it's Magnussen on our outside, and McLaren there. We're getting caught out by Gutierrez. We go round the Sauber. We're up behind the other Marussia after passing Chilton. We're up behind Bianchi. We should get him on the inside here. And Maldonado, maybe. There's a little bit of wheel banging, but we can't. Oh, can we sweep around the outside of the Venezuelan? Yes, we can. Solid start then. After having such a low objective. See the leader's already darting off towards the fiddly little chicane at the end of the lap. We're between the 2 Lotus cars. Grosjean just ahead of us. Both Toro Rossos in front of him as well. We should now all just disappear away from us. And I think that's going to be that for tracking the field. As Maldonado immediately comes to the outside and towards turn 1, and we'll just about outbrake him. We'll try to switch and give him enough racing room just. Maintain 15th at the end of lap 1 and into the start of lap 2. A little wide. Catch some gravel. Maldonado taking a look, but we'll hold the Lotus off. Brings Magnussen through. That McLaren should breeze past us down the start-finish straight. Here comes Kevin Magnussen.
Use DRS when the conditions apply. DRS has been enabled.
Just actually holding level stations as we get into turn 1, and we keep the Dane behind us. DRS enabled now. Magnussen should have the overspeed, but we'll stick to the inside and we'll manage to hold the McLaren off. think we'll hold him off this time though. He's already there as the DRS line comes. Kind of squeeze him out of room a little bit. Keeps the McLaren behind for now. Rosberg leading the way up front. Magnussen once again only just drawing alongside into turn 1. Again, we break him, sweep round him. Holding our own at the moment.
Be aware, we think the car behind is trying to save fuel.
Oh, he's not even last in the queue as Gutierrez just about with enough space. But even with DRS, they seem to max out. Okay, here's Adrian Sutil and
We're doing
Maldonado.
really well, 6 places up on where we expected to finish.
Now it's Adrian Sutil's turn. It's the utterly woeful qualifying form every race. The objective has literally been don't finish last from the team, which means at the end of every race, as Sutil's now going to have a go and not make it into 10. It means at the end of every race we've had the little celebration in the garage animation. 1/16th, 2/17ths and an 18th isn't really a huge amount to celebrate, but well, we're qualifying 22nd every race. A warning for corner cutting. I don't feel like I did anything different to what I've been doing during the race and qualifying, but apparently so. Gutierrez to the inside, and again not quick enough. Maldonado's on me. Gutierrez and Maldonado going side by side. That's normally a cause for concern. Maldonado immediately with us. Magnussen's going to come join as well. Maldonado to one side.
The car ahead is trying to create a gap. He's running full revs, maximum power.
Hit the brakes late. Dive back up the inside of the Lotus. Q runs all the way to 22nd, I think. And here comes Kevin Magnussen again, and will once again cross to defend. McLaren behind us. Coming in for pit stops has really cost us this season. The amount of times we've lost places by just not being fast enough on the way back out, or the AI out strategizing me. Prime Middleston, I think.
Confirmed for next pit stop.
There's quite a few of the cars behind us coming. Kobayashi will stay out, obviously. Chilton 2. I assume one of the Saubers will as well. I think it was Gutierrez went past. The rest of the guys behind me have come in. Oh, we're being held. There goes Maldonado. There goes Magnussen. There goes Gutierrez. There goes Bianchi. We are last.
Stay clear of the white line. We don't want a penalty.
We are last, but at least in the queue. Bianchi's also gone primes.
Only one stop to go.
And now Bianchi's starting to try and pull away. Maldonado's been caught out a little bit, but not disappearing. Oh, not being dropped, sorry.
Keeping fuel back for the end of the race.
Being dropped by these guys at the moment. There's, I've seen Chilton, Gutierrez and Kobayashi all in. No DRS this time. We're not going to get past any of them. We are officially last on pace. As Chilton heads out of the pits, can we jump the Marussia? I don't think we can, you know. We run wide. Oh, this is going to be a long afternoon, this one.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
There's Nico. That's Lewis Hamilton who's taken the lead.
The
We
gap
have
to
to
the next car
try
is
and get
about
out of the
3
way.
seconds.
3 seconds off Chiltern already. He's closing up to the back of that group. They're not a million miles away.
This guy, you're much faster in sector 1.
Maybe we can use Hamilton to our advantage here. Should get DRS from Mercedes. And we do. Doing us a massive amount of good.
Immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
Turn 2 all wrong as we move out of Rosberg's way. Mauritius slowing down for the 2 Mercedes. They're now together on track and we're back behind them. So for DRS as well.
Okay, we need you to make way for the car behind.
Chilton Bianchi slow down to let Vettel through. We're going to try and take advantage.
2 positions ahead.
But also try and let Vettel through, otherwise we'll get done for blue flags.
You're both going to have to let the car behind pass. When he goes through, try to use it as an opportunity to gain a position.
Exactly what we're going to do is we've got more blue flags. We'll get past Chilton. I think that's Fernando Alonso.
Expect reduced grip until you can wear them off. Stay on the racing line.
Move out of the way for Alonso as Bianchi slows down to let the Ferrari through, and we're back into
Good
P20.
job, back up to speed now. Blue flag no longer applies.
We're actually quite a distance up the road because of the leaders getting past us, but that's fine. We're at least ahead of the 2 Mauritius. Something.
Be aware, we think the car behind is trying to save
We're
fuel.
wide. It's going to give Bianchi an opportunity. Chilton as well, both of them. Trying to go one side each. Hold off Bianchi and then stay at the inside of Chilton. But the Mauritius really now. They look faster than we are, if I'm honest. There's Max Chilton, the man we replaced last season. The gap of 9.8 seconds to go by Ashes. Chilton has DRS, and just about draw alongside, but much like earlier in the race, can't go by into turn 1. Doesn't break late enough. Could be the first time we ain't raced by Kamui. I think he was due to in Malaysia, but retired.
The car behind is running on the
So
option
we've got
tyre. They have the
a Force
advantage.
India behind us. In what must be your 5th place? Yeah, Sergio Perez in
You need to
P5.
let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
Watching this as a new Formula 1 fan. We've only just been watching Sergio Perez in sort of 22, 23, 24 when he was at Red Bull. Wondering why in 2014 Codemasters simulated him to be running P5 in a Force India. Sergio was a pretty decent driver in mid-grid machinery. His one season at McLaren in 2013 wasn't particularly strong, and his seasons at Red Bull didn't yield the best results. Put him in a Force India or Sauber back in 2012, and he was a bit of a machine. 11.5 seconds off Kamui.
Going to pit within the next couple of laps.
He's being hounded by the Williams cars. I think we're about to lap him.
Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
Struggling to get past him. Big long train, probably down to about 12th place, maybe 13th or 14th. And then nothing until it gets back into the leaders again. So try and move out of Bottas as well. He's got Ricardo behind him as well. States the outside, actually get on the grass a little bit. And they move past. I assume Felipe Massa's just in behind as well. There's Felipe and Hulkenberg. And I'd assume Jenson Button. Hulk's trying to pass Massa. So I've stayed to the extreme right hand side of the track. There's Hulkenberg and Button now. Desperately trying to get out of everybody's way. Chilton's there too, which is what I've got to be careful of. There's a little bit of contact. Keep ahead of the Marussia. What did the engineer say then? 2 seconds a lap slower than Kobayashi. He's nearly 20 seconds up the road. Not aided by the fact that not only are we slow, but we're also moving out of everybody's way. Slow. Here comes Chilton. One side, then the other. Once again, we hold him off. Just.
Watch out for the car chasing you. He's less than a second behind and will use DRS to overtake.
Comes Chilton once again to the outside of turn 1. And we'll just block him out. He's on the option tyre, so should be pitting in shortly. Actually compromised him so much that he's got Bianchi right behind him, but there's also lead cars, I say lead, midfield cars coming to lap us. We are 22 seconds behind Kamui, so that is all done and dusted. It'll be the first time we're out raced by Kobayashi. If he doesn't drop off the road. Already losing the teammate challenge because during the races he's faster than we are as we hit the gravel, almost lose it right in front of Jean-Eric Verne. Both Verne and Kvyat pass. It's Romain Grosjean who, when we got into the pits, was the car in front of us in terms of position. Try and let him through without letting Chilton through, and that all got a little Bianchi actually rather than Chilton. Grosjean just wouldn't go, but we hold our P20, which we're now really defending for our lives. Tyres though, covered in marbles, wearing out. Once again, have to bring the fuel down a touch. We've got Mauritius to each side, both of them go by.
We believe the car ahead has a lot
We'll
of fuel in reserve.
at least dive back at the inside of Bianchi, but Chilton does beat us. Down to 21 in this race. Somebody's dropped out.
Stopping this
Chilton
lap.
is, however, in. So here comes Bianchi.
We're running just ahead of where we expected to be. Keep pushing.
Sebastian Vettel is out. Big news there. Up at the front, the Red Bull ending its race early. I don't think we're actually too far off, going 2 laps down as we move past the stricken Red Bull. How much traffic Chilton's in, whether he's going to be losing time getting in the way of the leaders. We are in from P19. I think Chilton is going to jump us actually. Let's him just crossing the start finish line. No, maybe not. I think we're now 2 laps down. There goes Chilton. But we will get out ahead of Jules Bianchi. So that's something, I guess.
Watch out as you rejoin the track.
We have Kevin Magnussen behind us. We were fighting him earlier in the race and we're now about to lap down to him. One and a half seconds to Chilton. There is a Mercedes Which one is it?
Blue flag condition.
There's Lewis Hamilton, so we're going to go 2 laps down.
You're not racing him.
It means we don't have to prolong our agony too much here. We're on the inside of turn 9.
Okay, we need you to make way for the car behind.
Wide, we nearly lose it. Save it. Still running wide as we've got dirt all over our tyres. We just about hold Bianchi off. It's going to be all over us down here, right? And the mirror's trying to go one way, then the other. No move to make there. He's long gone. Unless he gets really caught up in traffic, but only Magnussen, Hamilton and Rosberg have gone past of late. 12.3 seconds pretty much to the other Marussia, so that battle is done. Kobayashi's well ahead of us. At least I should stay in front of them by virtue of my P16 last time out. First time any of them have beaten me, at least.
Let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
We have home hero Fernando Alonso lapping us. There he goes. Back off to just not go into the back of the Ferrari, and that allows a Ferrari Junior an opportunity to hold off Bianchi. It is very apparent that we don't have the pace to even defend from them in the Marussia. And with other cars, we were battling
He's at least 2 seconds faster than you per lap.
in the first stint, as we get another indication of how much slower we are than Kobayashi. It's Adrian Sutil, and then we run wide, trying to let. It's actually Gutierrez. We run wide, trying to let him through. And 21st and essentially last in this race because Vettel is out.
Okay, we need you to make way for the car behind.
The collection of lead cars. This time we'll just run off circuit and let them through. There goes Raikkonen, Ricciardo, and I assume Checo. Yeah, Checo though backs off. I'm losing that 3 seconds a lap to Bianchi. Still try and move out of Perez's way. I might as well just back off at this point. I'm not catching the Marussia. We are finishing plumb last here. On to our final lap then. 2 laps down on the leaders. Way off the back of Bianchi. Overall, just very, very slow. Much like pretty much every race this season. We've had a good-ish start, managed to move up to the lower midfield, be fighting cars that are much faster than us, but keeping them behind. Lose out in the pit stops. Struggle to get anything back. Made a couple of minor errors here and there, trying to move out the way of the leaders. Getting dirt on our tyres. I think we're about to be lapped by the cars we were fighting in the first stint. Nico Rosberg wins his second race in a row.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
Adrian Sutil that's coming past. We were fighting him in the first stint. And Williams behind him there as well. Ran wide, trying to get out of Gutierrez's way with the blue flags. Much like that, really, but through turn 3. And in doing so as Bottas and I'd assume Maldonado, yeah. Maldonado just basically parked it in front of me. We trying to get out of the way for Sutil and get back in front of Bianchi. Ran wide, Bianchi got through and he was about 3 seconds a lap quicker as we round the final corner and just get cruise it across the line. There goes Jensen Button. We'll roll it across for P21. P21 then, ahead of only Sebastian Vettel, who didn't make it to the end. 2 laps down. 1.4 to 2 seconds off the pace of even the cars around us. We finished 2 laps down, along with Kobayashi, Chilton, Bianchi. Up at the top end of things, though, Rosberg beats Hamilton by 0.3 of a second. Alonso in third at his home Grand Prix. Kimi Raikkonen is in fourth. Daniel Ricciardo in fifth. Then it's Sergio Perez, Valtteri Bottas, Felipe Massa, Jensen Button, and Nico Hulkenberg picking up points. I think that means it's still the same 12 drivers that have scored. We'll find out in a moment. Verne is 11th ahead of Kvyat, Grosjean, Magnussen, Gutierrez, Sutil, Maldonado, all of whom finish a lap ahead of us. And then, yeah, the group down at the back, Kobayashi, Chilton, Bianchi, myself, and Vettel, who didn't make it to the end. What does that do for the drivers' stand-ins? Well, Lewis Hamilton leads by just 10 points now ahead of his teammate. They are 41 clear of Daniel Ricciardo. It's looking like a 2-horse race at the top. Fernando Alonso closes in on the Australian, but jumps Sebastian Vettel in the process. Kimi Raikkonen is 6th ahead of Magnussen, Bottas, Hulkenberg, Perez, Button and Massa. And it is still only 12 drivers to have scored points. Kvyat, Verne, Maldonado, Grosjean, Sutil, Gutierrez. We still remain 19th ahead of Max Chilton as Kobayashi jumps Bianchi. So at least we're both ahead of at least one Marussia so far. In the Constructors, Mercedes are 109 clear of Red Bull. Just give them the trophy now, there's no point in denying that. Ferrari are third, some 33 points clear of McLaren, who are now just 5 clear of Force India, having a strong season, who are 9 clear of Williams. That's an interesting scrap for 4th, I'd say. I'd say the top 3 probably fairly solid. Toro Rosso remain ahead of Lotus, Sauber. We remain ahead of Marussia. What a terrible, terrible race that was in the end. The Spanish Grand Prix once again delivering just pain for the most part. Car had no pace. I've got no pace at this circuit. We have our first last place finish of this season, from last on the grid again, only saved from 22nd overall by the retirement of Vettel's Red Bull. And it's not going to get any easier next as we head to Monaco. Maybe the lack of pace won't be exposed, but I've said that every season, and every season I've found myself not really doing very well. It's going to be a long old season, 5 down out of the 19, and we are nowhere. Could this be the first pointless season, or are we going to be saved by a race of carnage somewhere? Somewhere maybe like Monaco. I didn't enjoy that, but I hope you did. And if you did, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. You know the drill. Bye now. I'll see you for the next one in the Principality. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.